Mistakes, whether fortuitous or tragic, have often led to pivotal changes in history. The formation of the United States, as we know it, owes a surprising debt to a series of missteps, miscalculations, and failed ventures. From unintended discoveries to disastrous meltdowns, these key mistakes have steered the course of American history in unexpected ways. This video will explore some of the most impactful errors that, inadvertently or not, helped shape the United States into its current form. Columbus's misguided journey to the New World. The story of Christopher Columbus's voyage in 1492 is frequently oversimplified. While many were under the misconception that Columbus set out to disprove the flat Earth theory, the truth is more nuanced. Columbus believed Asia was closer to Europe than it actually was, largely due to his erroneous conversion of distances from Arabic to Roman miles. In reality, Columbus underestimated the Earth's circumference by nearly 8,000 miles. He thought he could reach Asia by heading westward across the Atlantic, believing it would be a shorter journey. When he made landfall in what he called the Indies, he encountered an entirely different world, the Americas. This unplanned discovery led to European colonization, forever altering the history, geography, and culture of the Western Hemisphere. The arrival of European settlers initiated a dramatic upheaval for indigenous populations, bringing disease, conflict, and the reshaping of native lands. Today, Columbus's accidental discovery is seen as a tragic turning point for indigenous cultures, but also a foundational moment for the eventual rise of modern Western nations in the Americas. 3 Mile Island's nuclear mishap. On March 28, 1979, a partial meltdown occurred at the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant in Pennsylvania, marking the most severe nuclear accident in U.S. history. A series of equipment failures and human errors caused the reactor's cooling system to malfunction, leading to the overheating of the reactor core. When a relief valve became stuck in the open position, staff were unaware that pressure had dropped dangerously low. They misinterpreted the control panel gauges, which only worsened the situation. The incident ultimately released a small amount of radioactive gas into the environment, sparking widespread fear and outrage. Although no fatalities or severe health effects were directly linked to the incident, the disaster led to heightened public distrust in nuclear power across America. This mistrust hindered the expansion of nuclear energy in the United States and led to increased reliance on fossil fuels, shaping U.S. energy policy for decades. The 3 Mile Island disaster remains a key example of the challenges of managing nuclear technology safely. Lee's lost plan in the Civil War. During the Civil War, General Robert E. Lee's Confederate Army seemed poised to claim victory against the Union. Lee devised a detailed plan, known as Special Orders No. 191, to secure Maryland and position the Confederates for a strategic advantage. However, fate intervened when a copy of Lee's orders was accidentally lost and picked up by a Union soldier. The discovery of these plans allowed the Union forces, under General George McClellan, to anticipate Lee's movements. As a result, the Union gained a crucial advantage, leading to victories at the battles of South Mountain and Antietam in September 1862. The Union victory at Antietam had far-reaching implications beyond the battlefield. It provided President Abraham Lincoln with the momentum needed to issue the preliminary Emancipation Proclamation, reframing the Civil War as a moral crusade against slavery. Lee's misstep inadvertently galvanized the Union's cause and shifted the focus of the war, adding a moral imperative that would alter the course of American history. The Bay of Pigs blunder. In 1961, the United States, under President John F. Kennedy, launched an ambitious covert mission to overthrow Cuban leader Fidel Castro. Known as the Bay of Pigs invasion, the plan involved landing a force of around 1,200 Cuban exiles on Cuban shores to ignite a popular uprising against Castro's regime. However, logistical failures and miscalculations quickly derailed the mission. Due to an overlooked 1-hour time difference, American B-26 bombers, meant to provide air support, arrived an hour late, leaving the ground forces vulnerable. Without adequate air cover, the exiles were easily overwhelmed by Castro's troops, and the majority were either killed or captured. This failure humiliated the Kennedy administration and strained U.S.-Cuban relations. The disaster set the stage for the Cuban Missile Crisis the following year, a tense standoff between the U.S. and the Soviet Union over the placement of nuclear missiles in Cuba. The Bay of Pigs fiasco remains a lesson in the risks of flawed planning and the high-stakes tension of Cold War diplomacy. Japan's mistranslated response and the atomic bomb. As World War II drew to a close, the U.S. issued terms of surrender to Japan in July 1945, with the world anxiously awaiting Japan's response. Japanese Premier Kantaro Suzuki, addressing reporters, used the word mokusatsu, which can mean no comment or to ignore with silent contempt. Unfortunately, U.S. translators interpreted it as a rejection of the terms. Viewing this as defiance, President Harry S. Truman proceeded with the devastating atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The true impact of the mistranslation is still debated, but it may have prevented a peaceful surrender. The bombings, which caused unprecedented destruction and loss of life, forced Japan's unconditional surrender and ended the war. However, they also introduced the world to the nuclear age, leading to an arms race that defined the Cold War and continues to shape global tensions. This tragic miscommunication is a stark reminder of the high stakes and profound consequences of diplomatic language. Washington's iconic crossing and a missed warning. George Washington's historic crossing of the Delaware River on Christmas night, 1776, is a pivotal moment in the American Revolutionary War. Washington's forces launched a surprise attack on the Hessian troops stationed in Trenton, New Jersey, catching them off guard and securing a crucial victory. However, the Hessian commander, Colonel Johann Rall, had been warned of Washington's approach by a local farmer. Unfortunately, Rall, preoccupied with a card game, chose to ignore the farmer's message, stowing it away unread. This oversight proved fatal, as Washington's victory at Trenton bolstered the morale of the Continental Army, reinvigorating the revolutionary cause at a time of dwindling hope. The success led to a string of morale-boosting victories that kept the fight for American independence alive. Rall's fatal error underscores how even a single moment of inattention can influence the course of history. Xerox's unintentional boost to Apple's rise. In the 1970s, Xerox established the Palo Alto Research Center, where it pioneered various innovations that would later revolutionize the tech industry, including the graphical user interface and the computer mouse. Meanwhile, Apple, then a fledgling tech company led by Steve Jobs, was struggling to define its vision. Jobs negotiated a deal to visit Park in exchange for Apple shares. During his visit, he saw technology that would eventually transform personal computing. Inspired by Xerox's inventions, Apple integrated the graphical user interface and mouse into its Lisa and Macintosh computers, making them user-friendly and accessible to the average person. The 2008 mortgage crisis and economic collapse. The American housing market experienced unprecedented growth in the early 2000s, largely fueled by banks offering subprime mortgages to borrowers with poor credit histories. Lenders issued loans to individuals who could not afford them, assuming that housing prices would continue to rise indefinitely. When the housing bubble burst, homeowners defaulted on their mortgages in record numbers, leading to a cascade of foreclosures that destabilized the financial system. Thanks for joining us on this journey through some of the most surprising mistakes that helped shape modern America. If you enjoyed learning about these pivotal moments in history, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and make sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of our future content.